What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Car Guy Gaming. Today I'm going to be showing you my top 25 core essential mods that I use every day, and I'm also going to be giving a quick tutorial on how to use each one. The links to all the following mods are down in the description below, as well as their spot in the video or their timestamp, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 25 is Unlock All. Now this mod actually comes with the game when you download it, and it'll be there in your content manager under the mods section. In a normal vanilla game, you have to pass all the population milestones to unlock certain monuments and buildings. You have to complete different challenges to unlock some of the unique buildings. You have to place down 6 separate unique buildings to unlock each monument, and you have to level up your industries and parks in order to unlock the higher tier buildings. Now this can be a problem for a number of reasons. If you're building an industry park or campus area, you want to have it planned out to prevent as much traffic as possible, as well to improve the aesthetics. If you don't have access to some of the buildings, that can prevent you from properly planning out the spacing between them and cause things to look a little wonky. As far as unique buildings go, some of the challenges require you to have your city at an average health of less than 30% for 3 weeks, or consistently lose money for 3 weeks. Now what that can do is cause your city to go belly up and fail, and for the people that don't keep multiple save files and back up the game consistently, that can make you lose your favorite city because of one silly unique building. With this mod, however, you don't have that problem. It unlocks all roads, buildings, public transport systems, and yes, even monuments. However, say you only want to unlock certain buildings but not monuments. Say you only want to unlock unique buildings but not monuments. You can actually change which things you want to have unlocked in the mod options right here, so you don't have to completely eliminate the gratifying process of unlocking things on your own if you don't want to. Number 24 is Extra Landscaping Tools. Now, normally in vanilla, you only have 3 options for brush size and 3 options for brush strength: small, medium, and large, or low, medium, and high. You only have 1 option for placing trees as well. 1 at a time. You can only place them like this, 1 tree at a time. And that can get really, really annoying pretty quickly, because when doing things like detailing, that can become very tedious. Now what this mod does is it allows you to make much more precise adjustments to your brush size and brush strength. And when doing things like terraforming and placing trees, you can also change the style of what you're doing with this brush box right here. And what it allows you to do is make really cool effects when building things like mountains or riverbeds. It also works with other mods as well, which you'll see later on in the video. To show you guys an example of how this mod works, say I wanted to make a river right here, right? Say I wanted to make a river. I can actually choose the exact width and depth of what I want this river to be. So say I right click on here, so that's 300. If I want to go down to say 250, I can go in there and then I can do that instead of having to go like this and rely on my stupid fingers. Look, I barely pressed it and it went all the way down there. Now, once I finish the start of my river like this, I can add things like an uneven bed, or I can add a very specifically sized beach. So I can choose exactly how long I want the riverbank to be, or how steep I want the riverbank to be. So it just makes things look a lot better and a lot more natural when you're doing things like making a river. This is really bad, but when you're doing it, I'm sure it will look great. On to number 23, Roundabout Builder. In vanilla, if you want to build a roundabout, you have to be very careful about your measurements and angles. If you mess up, your roundabout can end up looking something like this. This version of the mod, or at least I thought it did, but some versions of the mod have an option to set up Traffic Manager for you, as well as to automatically level the terrain that the roundabout is on. Now this can save you a lot of time and money if you don't have things like unlimited soil turned on. There's also a drop down menu where you can pick which road you want to use for your roundabout, or if you want, you can bring up the menu and then click on any road you want in here. You can even select things like tram or train tracks if you want to get real fancy. You can make a train about, as Biffle would say. You can bring up the UI by pressing Ctrl O on your keyboard, or whatever shortcut you have it set up to. You can actually change the size of the roundabout here in intervals of 8 meters or 1 in-game unit. For those of you who don't know, 1 in-game unit is 8 meters. So you can do that by pressing the plus and minus keys. You can see I'm pressing plus, and now I'm pressing minus, and plus and minus keys will change the size of the roundabout. So let's say I want to make an 80 big roundabout. So if you want to be exact, you can actually type in any whole number into the radius box here. Now, in order to place the roundabout, you have to bring up the UI and hover the mouse over any intersection like this. Now, when you hover over the intersection, and I recommend it be 90 degrees for the best accuracy, this red circle will appear. The outside edge of this circle is going to be the outside edge of your roundabout, and the inside edge of the circle is going to be the inside edge of the roundabout. So, once you're ready to place the roundabout, you simply left click with the mouse, and then your roundabout is installed. Number 22 is a pretty simple one. In vanilla, you're only able to unlock 9 tiles, like 9 tiles in the center of the map. I really don't understand why Paradox or Colossal made it this way. In my opinion, it's just an unnecessary limitation that makes the vanilla game shorter and less fun. The 81 tiles mod fixes this by letting you unlock literally the entire map. However, it doesn't just keep the prices the same. The prices will still increase with every tile you buy past 9 tiles. I believe the final tile is around $260,000. However, if you don't feel like spending millions of dollars on tiles, you can go into the mod menu right here and simply unlock all tiles for free with this button. Now, when you click that button, your game will freeze for a few seconds. Don't worry, it just lags a bit. So, now there is one problem with this mod, one glitch. If you don't have all 81 tiles unlocked, your subway, trains, and tracks will actually sink lower and lower every time you reload the game, and this is why unlocking all the tiles is usually one of the first things I do when I start a new city. Number 21 is unlimited outside connections. In vanilla, you can only have 4 of each type of connection. Now that includes highway, train, plane, and ship connections. This mod essentially just allows you to have any number of connections you want. For example, say you want to have the multi-platform through station right here. What? That was lag. Okay, so you can see this train station has 6 platforms. In vanilla, you would only be able to connect 4 of these platforms to the outside world. The other 2 wouldn't be able to. And that's if you don't have any other train connections at all in your entire city. So it's kind of a niche use case, but also if your city has a lot of industries and you want to have a lot of ways to export, like this mod can be really, really useful. And we're on to the top 20. The loading screen mod is actually a very useful mod. However, I figured this was the highest spot I could put on my list because it doesn't actually affect gameplay. What it does is it shows you this extra UI on the loading screen that tells you how many assets you have up here. It will eventually say that. How many assets you have, how many are loaded, how many assets are being loaded per second, and how long it's taken your save game to load. It will also tell you how much RAM your game is using, as well as if your game is starved for RAM. If this text right here is yellow, that means you're approaching max RAM, and if it's red, then that means your game is out of RAM. The sidebar on the left will tell you all the processes that go on while loading the game, with yellow text here meaning an asset is missing, red text meaning an asset failed to load, and blue text meaning there's a duplicate asset. Aside from the UI, the loading screen mod also does things like share textures that use the same resources through references rather than copy-pasting them, saving you RAM. Now, according to the page on the Steam Workshop, do not hold me liable for this, but according to the page on the Steam Workshop, this feature saves about 1.5 gigabytes of RAM per 1,000 assets. It also has a customizable asset loader that significantly speeds up loading times. Now, I used to have my game take 5+ minutes to load. As soon as I downloaded the loading screen mod, it cut my loading times down to around a minute. Additionally, if you're having trouble with broken assets and can't figure out what they are or why they're crashing, you can choose an option in the mod options to output an HTML asset report when the game finishes loading, or even if it fails to load. You can then access that report by going to your Windows Start menu and searching the word run. Then you want to run the application app data, one word. This brings up the app data folder, which is normally not available in File Explorer. You then want to double click on the folder titled local, colossal order, and then city skylines. You then want to go into the folder called report and loading screen mod. Then you simply find the date and time of the report you want, and it will tell you all loaded assets, missing assets, and unloaded assets, meaning assets that you have that aren't in your city. Also, if you click on the name If you click on the name of one of the assets, it takes you to the workshop page for that asset, so you can figure out if other people are having the same problems that you're having with that mod or asset. Overall, this is a fantastic mod. However, there are better ones out there, such as this next one. Number 19 is more of a failsafe than anything. As someone who makes a lot of mistakes, this mod, Undo It, is somewhat of a godsend. What it allows you to do is use Control Z. So say I build this road, it allows you to use Control Z to get rid of a building or that you don't like the placement of, or a road you don't like the placement of, instead of having to bulldoze it and then place it back every time. Now you can actually change the amount of things that you can undo at once by going into the mod options here, by just typing in what number and then hitting enter. So the default value is 10, and then you can change that to whatever you want. You can also use redo, and if you want, you can also use Alt-Y instead of just Control-Y to show you what it's actually going to do. So if then I do Control-Y, then it does the same thing. So you can actually also get it to ignore costs. You can get it to ignore costs when you undo. So that can be useful if you're, I guess, not a realistic player. But yeah, let's move on to the next mod. This one's pretty simple, but also quite useful. Number 18 is the Service Vehicle Selector mod. What this does is it allows you to choose which vehicles can land or can go to which thing. So, for example, this plane stand, it has every type of plane asset that I have. If I select one of these, it will only allow that one. If I select a few, it'll only allow those. But also, if you want all of them to go to it, you don't actually have to click on every single one of them. If you don't have anything selected, it will allow all of them. So this mod isn't really useful for most things, but if you have a project like this where you only want certain vehicles going to certain places, it can give you that extra level of detail to really make it feel real. Number 17 is Ultimate Eye Candy. Now what this mod allows you to do is it allows you to have greater control over the aesthetics of the game. So you can access the menu by pressing Shift U, and as you can see now, you can change everything from the time of day and the speed of the day-night cycle to changing the weather on the fly or even turning it off. You can change which light you're using at any given time. There are a few things that can make this mod a bit glitchy though. If you have the day-night cycle disabled in your options, like as you can see right here, I do have it disabled, use day-night cycle. So if I turn that on, then as you can see, it is now nighttime. But if I go here now, when I enable the day-night cycle, it allows me to change the time of day, the day-night cycle speed, etc. So one thing that I do have to mention is if you have the real-time mod enabled, when your game approaches 6 o'clock, if you have the day-night cycle enabled in your game options, even if you have it paused here in Ultimate Eye Candy, what will happen is as it approaches 6 a.m., it will flicker to be dark, it will flicker, and then when it turns 6 a.m., it will just go to nighttime instantly. I don't know why that happens, it's just a thing, so something to be aware of. Number 16 is the first-person camera mod. Now, it does exactly what it says. You click on any vehicle or pedestrian you want. So, let's go for, let's go for a pedestrian here. Let's go for this pedestrian right here. You click on this camera-looking button right here, and it shows you the first-person view of whatever person or vehicle you've selected. So, as you can see, we're now walking through the city. We're walking through the Granite Glades. And we went to the bus stop, I think? No, we're going into the store. I don't know. Okay, so basically what it does is it goes to the first-person view of any pedestrian or vehicle. You guys have seen me use this mod in time lapses and stuff like that in previous episodes. It's just pretty cool, and I figured I should stick it in there for people who want to record. It's just a fun thing to use. Number 15 is Automatic Bulldoze. Now this mod is truly a godsend for people just starting out. When I started playing City Skylines, I had tons of abandoned buildings and buildings with issues. I really wish I had had this mod then because I spent so much time just bulldozing abandoned buildings for no reason. Now, what it does is when you press B, academic year report, ooh yay. Okay, so when you press B or the bulldoze button, it will bring up these two tabs here that you didn't normally have before. So this one says demolish abandoned and this one says demolish burned. So these are toggle switches, so if I click on it, it should turn blue. Yes, it turns blue. So if you click on it and it's blue, if it's blue, that means it's activated. If it's gray or black, that means it's not activated. So basically what it does is this will automatically demolish all abandoned buildings that pop up. So if a building becomes abandoned, it automatically destroys it to make room for other buildings. So this is really useful. And burned buildings, I don't do that because burned buildings can rebuild. So I just leave that off. But if you want, you can turn them on, you can turn it off. So if you want the look of an abandoned city, you can turn it on. But I mean, pretty cool mod, and it's actually very useful because you don't have to think about abandoned buildings at all. Number 14 is Precision Engineering 2.0. Now this mod is what has allowed me to do almost everything you see here at the LAX Airport project. What it does is it allows you to actually see the length of road. So if I want to make a curved road here, it allows me to see, let's say I want to make a curved road and I want it elevated. So as you can see, what this does is it allows me to see the angle of the curve, the height of the end of the road, and even the length of each half of the curve. So if I want to do a 10 by 10, I can just do 10, and then it'll automatically snap to 90, and then I can just do a 10 by 10. And if I want it on the ground, boom, 10 by 10 bend, easy as that. So it's much easier to do than it is in vanilla, because in vanilla you have to rely on these these lines, these marker lines, and they can mess you up sometimes because you can think you're on them but you're really not. So this mod just makes it even more exact. However, there are some more useful mods, so for that reason this mod is number 14 on the list. Number 13 is Toggle It. Now this mod allows you to do any number of different things. If you go into the mod options here, 5 things, no, is it 6? Yeah, you can choose any 6 things that you want this to do. So I have those things set. You can even set shortcuts for them. I don't do that, I just click on them. So if I click on D, for example, it will show me all the contours of the lands, whereas then if I use the Toggle It mod, I don't have to deal with this, the green haze you get from most of the vanilla info views. I don't have to deal with that. I can just click on this and it'll show it. So this mod is really useful for the people who don't like all the green haze you get normally with vanilla. And we are on to number 12, the more effective transfer mod. Now this mod is especially helpful for me because, for those of you who don't know, one of my favorite things to do in City Skylines is build massive industry areas like this. And anyone who has ever built the unique factories, such as, where did I put my dang unique factory? Anyone who has built these unique factories knows that if you have them away from your industry areas, even if you put a large warehouse like this one next to it, the factory will pull from the industry area itself or outside the region before it pulls from the warehouse every single time. This mod fixes the issue by causing unique factories as well as commercial buildings to pull from warehouses first, or really just the closest source before anything else. This can result in things like increased profit and less complaints, such as not enough buyers for products. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I have it. Yeah, not enough buyers for products. It can fix not enough goods to sell. And even it can even cause less traffic because the vehicles are all going around locally rather than coming from outside the region or driving all the way across the map. And we are almost at the top 10. Number 11 is the prop line tool. So this mod is incredibly useful for things like detailing. Well, not things like detailing, just detailing, most especially with trees. What it allows you to do is it allows you to place props like trees and rocks in a line, or I can do it in a curved line, or I can do it freeform. I can even use a circle and just have one in the middle of my roundabout and do something like this and have it look really cool. If you go into the menu, here, you can change things like the spacing. You can change things like whether you want anarchy, whether you want it to place over blocked items. You can say whether you want perfect circles. You can do a lot of different things with this mod. And for people like me who are really bad at eyeballing things and placing it and stuff like that, this mod is very, very useful. It really helps me to be more exact or precise, whatever the right word is. I'll do an example here just to show you guys how it can really improve the looks of something. So let's build a building or something. There you go. So as you can see, that allowed me to make a much cleaner line of trees around that building, and it really helps when you're doing things like along train tracks or along highways or stuff like that, you need that extra level of precision. And here we are, the top 10. These mods are the ones I use every time or almost every time I play the game and could not live without. To start off, we have Surface Painter. So what this mod does is it allows you to have all the different types of, environment in the game, and it allows you to place them anywhere. So things like concrete, I can place concrete there. That's what it allows you to do, and in combination with the extra landscaping tools mod over here, this utility is just unparalleled. The one thing this mod could do better is not have it overpower things like roads or sidewalks and the concrete built into buildings like this. For example, if I want a field, then it just automatically overpowers that road. Like, if it didn't do that, I would like it a lot better. That's the one gripe I have with this mod. However, with all the utility it provides, I can deal with it pretty easily. Number 9 isn't such a useful mod or gameplay mod as much as it is a realism mod. Now, normally in vanilla, every citizen that moves into your city is an uneducated adult. This means that your school system has to be unrealistically large and overbuilt, because every citizen that moves in to your city has to go through the entire thing. So like a 30-year-old will have to go through elementary school, high school, and university. Also, the game makes no mention of middle school. My guess is that the game considers middle school part of high school, which most countries do that, just not America, because Americans are stubborn. Anyways, I digress. What the lifecycle rebalance mod does, it allows you to change things like the education and age randomness of new citizens, as well as things like retirement age, average death, etc., or even transport habits like this, like transport things. It can make it a bit harder to start at first, but personally I didn't really notice. It says it's a warning, like on the Steam Workshop page, that it can make it a bit harder to start a city. I didn't really notice it, and I'm playing on hard mode, so there's that. One thing I would recommend though with this mod is to not start using it if your city is too developed, because if it's already developed, it can cause issues like not enough educated workers or things like that, as well as less taxpayer money and also other issues. So if you're going to use this mod, I would recommend waiting until you start a new city, just because of those issues. Number 8 is kind of confusing. Network Extensions 2 is a mod as far as the game concerned, but it's really just an asset pack. So it includes a bunch of new roads, like these alleyways here. It includes 6-lane highways, 5-lane highways, 6-lane highways. It even includes an 8-lane road right here. So this mod is really just an asset pack. However, it does also include different asymmetrical roads, and this makes it a lot easier to do things like traffic management, because you have a lot more different road and lane combinations you can work with. I can't list every road in the mod because there's a ton. If you want, I can go into the mod options here, and I'll go through all these, and you can pause at any point to figure out and read all these different roads. But basically, those are all the roads, and so you can also go into the mod options here and turn off any roads you do not want to use. So if you only want to use the tiny roads, you can do that. If you just want to use the highways, you can do that. If you want to use everything but the small heavy roads, you can do that. So overall, I could not live without this mod, and I use it all the time, and that's why it's number 8, because I literally could not live without it. Number 7 is a big one. As someone who likes to do things like create custom airports and harbors and stuff like that, the Touch It mod is a must-have. Now, normally when you place down something like a harbor, it comes with a road attached to it. So if I place down a harbor here, it comes with a road attached to it. Now, this road cannot be removed, it cannot be upgraded, you can't even connect a road into the middle of it. You have to connect to the ends of it. So this can be really annoying if you want to do things like a one-way system for your cargo harbor or your ferry pier, or you're making your ferry pier part of your grid in your city. It just doesn't like it. So the Touch It mod allows you to unhook roads from buildings. Now what that means is if I click on this purple K up here, sometimes you'll click on the K and it will just have this exclamation mark here. If that's the case, just click on the purple exclamation mark and the touch it tool should come up, or the touch this tool. Now what you do is you simply hover over the road or segment you want to unhook. If it's green, that means it's currently hooked in. If it's red, that means you've already unhooked it. So all you have to do is click on it, and then you can see it turns red. And then now if I get out of this, I can get rid of it. You can deactivate it just by clicking the K again, and once you've done that, you can upgrade or remove the road, and then you are done, ladies and gentlemen. This next mod is really great, but it's not quite good enough to make it into the top 5. It is the Auto Pedestrian Bridge Builder mod. Now, normally when you have a roundabout, the way the pedestrians have to cross the roundabout is they have to cross the road like here. This slows down the traffic on the roundabout. Now, if this roundabout is an arterial road, that pedestrian traffic can cause huge problems for the cars and really kind of destroy your city. So that's where this mod comes in. What you do is you pull up the UI by clicking on the path menu here, going to the path menu, and then you click on this bridge looking thing right here, and that brings up the UI. Now once you've brought that up, once you've pulled up the UI, then you can go down to your path menu to choose which path you want to use. So say I want to use my modded path here of the pedestrian and bicycle path combined. So I click on that, and then I have to click on this, and that brings up, that means whenever I click on it, it will use this path. You can choose the elevation if you want it elevated. If you do have it elevated, I recommend going with the lowest thing, because if you go any higher than that, it really just looks kind of stupid. You can even go with a tunnel if you want to, an elevation, something like that, and basically, that's how it works.
Only the best of mods can make it here. Being in the top 5 means you have to be useful every time the player plays the game. You have to be something that the player cannot live without. Once someone uses these mods, they never go back.
Oh, hey guys, sorry about that. Don't know what got into me. Here's the top 5. Now, number 5 is something that almost every non-vanilla City Skylines player uses. If I turned this mod off, my entire city would instantly break down. I bet you guys can guess what it is. It's Traffic Manager. This mod is so complex that I might actually do an entire video covering how to use it. In short, the Traffic Manager mod, if we bring it up here, it allows you to not just turn traffic lights on and off, but also time traffic lights to get a certain direction of traffic for a green light for longer than the rest. It also allows you to use priority signs and yield signs or give way signs depending on where you're from. It also allows you to choose which lanes are turning lanes as well as which way they turn. It even lets you choose which lanes at an intersection can turn into which lanes. Like this is an example right here. Which lanes turn into which lanes go straight, etc. You can also turn despawning off if you want a bit of a challenge. You can turn vehicle despawning off. I have it on for lag purposes, but if you want a challenge and your computer can handle it, you can turn that off. You can clear all the traffic if you want and see where the traffic piles up first if your city breaks. You can restrict which vehicles can go on which roads. You can change the speed limits on certain roads or even certain segments of roads. You can change different policies like where people can cross, where people can turn, where people can make U-turns, stuff like that. You can change parking restrictions and make sure people can't park on certain roads where they normally could. There's just so much to cover. And also, if you go into the mod options here, then you can choose any of this stuff. You can choose the simulation accuracy. You can choose the percentage of reckless drivers. I have it at Holy City simply for, the lag purposes. But, you can do that. You can turn it up to all the way as much as 10%. And you can choose which road conditions, what impact they have on vehicle speed. You can enable advanced vehicle AI and dynamics lane selection. You can enable more realistic parking, which means they can't just have their cars disappear when they park somewhere. They have to actually park it somewhere. And that's not even all of it. There's no way I can explain everything in this mod in this short little segment. So basically, if you guys want to see a full tutorial on Traffic Manager in the future, let me know down in the comments below. And now let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is the Node Controller mod. Now this mod does a lot of things. So basically you activate it by pressing Control N. As you can see, my cursor is turned into a weird circle thing. That's the Node Controller mod. logo. We have some rush hour traffic right here, don't worry about that. But basically, if you click on any node, you can change whatever you want on any road or train track. Now, all you have to do is hover over where you want to create a node. You can create a node right here. If you want, you can create a node pretty much anywhere, and you can change it. Just click on wherever you want to create the node, or you can click on an existing node. So once you do that, then you will have brought up the UI. In the UI, you can do many different things. The most common thing I do is click on like intersection right here and change the corner offset. So if you look over here, you can change the corner offset, which basically what that is it's how sharp the corner is. So you can see I'm confusing the cars right now, but that's what you can do. You can change the corner offset like that. It can also make some things look a lot less stupid, and it can even get rid of clipping where the game doesn't normally like things to happen. So the best example of this is highways. The game normally doesn't let you have highway intersections at 45 degrees. It only lets you have highway intersections at 45 degrees or greater. Basically, with node controller, if I come off here like 50 degrees, what the node controller mod will do is I can click on this and I can bring the corner offset out, and it can make it a lot smoother. Instead of just abruptly turning, it can make it a lot smoother, and they can start turning a lot earlier. Now, this can make some things look kind of stupid, so if that's a concern for you, I would recommend you get the intersection marking tool so you can deal with that on your own. But basically, also say you're building a bridge and you want the road to stay on the ground a bit for turning into a bridge. At the point where it transitions, you will always get something where the road... Here, let me show you guys. If I make a node here, normally what will happen is this. So what'll normally happen when you have like a bridge or something is you'll have this. You'll have a sloped road, and then when it comes to the node, it goes flat, and then it starts sloping again. This is really dumb. I don't know why it does this, but it does, okay? So all you have to do is you have to come over here, click make sloped, and then it'll just make the node, it'll force the node to slope with the rest of the road or train track, and it can make it look much better and much smoother. But with that being said, let's move on to the top 3. Number 3 is something I literally use every few minutes when I'm playing City Skylines. It is the Fine Road Tools mod. So it is basically, normally it'll just look like this. So to enable it, you press it like this, and then it'll stay up here. These 4 are something else, but the Fine Road Tools mod comes with all this right here. It comes with elevation, step, and modes. Now, what this is here, the reason I like this mod is because normally in vanilla, you're at the mercy of the AI to decide, like if you have this option, you're at the mercy of the AI to decide whether your road should be a bridge, should be elevated, forced to the ground, a bridge, a tunnel. So, like for example, if I make a road here, and I want to put it up by 16, you can see it only goes halfway, but what if I want the whole thing to be a bridge? Normally in vanilla I can't do that, but with the Fine Road Tools mod I can force it. So you can press Control and then the left and right arrow keys to switch between the different modes of bridge, tunnel, and normal, like with the game AI deciding. So say I want to do that, and I want to make a bridge like that. So if I want to make a really long bridge, I can do that, and then I can use a different mod, which you'll see later, to make this an actual bridge. And then I can also go with straight slope. I can click on straight slope here. So now, if I go back down to ground level and I come over here, it'll just go straight slope. And this mod is super useful. It's not for everybody. One thing I will say is not for everybody. You guys have heard me mention Phil from City Planner Plays before on this channel. I talked to him about this. I was like, Fine Road Tools is my number 3. He said, I'll have something to say about that. Because, like, it's not for everybody, because a lot of times what you can do is you can just forget. You can forget to use these, and like say you'll be stuck on elevated, but you want to build something on the ground, and then you have to upgrade it again, and it's like really annoying sometimes. But if you remember how to use it and you get used to it, it's fine. And really, like, I like it. I really like it a lot because it allows you to do things you cannot do in vanilla. Number 2 is Fine Road Anarchy. Now this mod allows you to do things that you simply just can't do in the vanilla game. So if I go over here, right? If I go over here, let's do this over here. It comes with 4 toggle buttons. These 4 toggle buttons right here. They are Anarchy, Road Bending, Node Snapping, and Collision. Now let's start with Anarchy. So you can toggle it by pressing Control A, as you can see, Control A, and it even changes the little Tweety bird to like a red angry thing. I think that's pretty cool. So what it does is it just disregards all the game's limitations for where roads can go. So like normally you wouldn't expect a road to go up this mountain, right? Turn on Anarchy and boom. Just look at that. And it doesn't work just for roads, it also works for buildings. So you can place buildings like off a cliff. You can literally even place a building inside of another building. You can also place buildings outside of the city limits. Road Anarchy, Fine Road Anarchy is just probably one of the most useful things that I have ever used in City Skylines. The next one is Auto Road Bending. Now Auto Road Bending, you can enable it by pressing Control B, and what it does is, say I'm here and I want to go into this road. You can see it bends, right? You can see it bends. However, if I turn this off, then you can see the road will stay straight, and you can see it won't do it. But that's where Anarchy comes in. If I turn on Anarchy, it does it. I'd have to use Move It to like mess with that and actually make it look like neat, but it works. The next thing is Node Snapping. Now this is most useful when you're building things in tight spaces and you have a ton of roads like really close to each other. So like if I go here and I want to do like a bend, then like this road, you can see the road guidelines are kind of like in the way and stuff like that. So if I press Control S, what it does is it just allows me to move this anywhere. The only thing it'll snap to is 90 degrees on the corner, because it does that anyway. So road node snapping can be really useful. Also, you can just, if I turn off road snapping, I can go anywhere along this road. However, it might also like disconnect it from the road. And then finally, collision is something where you see how there's trees here. I can just build a road straight through these trees, and normally you can see the trees would disappear when I build the road through it. If I turn collision off, which you can do by pressing Control C, if I turn that off, you can see it builds straight through the trees, and it did not do that. The way I see this is most useful is if you want to have like an illusion where you have a road going underneath a building and you have like or a road going into a building, then turning off collision can really help you do that. With all that being said though, this mod is great, but it's not as great as this next one, which you can probably guess what it is.
And finally, the #1 mod in all of City Skylines. I would probably die if I lost this mod. Not really. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the one, the only, Move It! Woo, woo, woo. Okay, in all seriousness guys, a lot of you probably saw this coming, and for good reason. Move It is simply the most useful mod on the entire Steam Workshop. I also could do an entire video about just Move It, so let me know if you guys want to see that in the comments down below. However, let's go over the basics of Move It. Say I have this intersection, right? Say I have this intersection, where's my cursor? I have this intersection and I don't like the way it looks, right? I can pull up Move It, and as you can see, I can just select any of this. I can change the curve of any segment I want. I can change the curve, and then it will actually snap to being straight. I can also move this segment around. If I don't like the placement, I can just Control Z undo. And then also, if you're moving something and you hold Alt, it will snap it, like if you're moving a road, it will snap it to the other roads in that section. Also, I can select the node, move it up, move it down. Again, I can press undo. I can, if I want to, I can press an object that I don't like. I can bulldoze it.
Then if you have a full landfill, you can just click on it and use move it to bulldoze it. There's also the marquee selector, so you can select a bunch of different things at one time. You can even select which things you want and deselect which things you don't want to select. If you want to only select one thing, you can double click on it. Just look at that, it's so powerful. Then if I go like this, I can also duplicate this if I want to. I could rotate this entire thing. I can literally do anything. I could also import it if you want. This is the one tool that I've actually never used with Move It, but if you select some stuff, then you come over here and you do import selection. What that'll do is it'll actually save whatever you selected, and it'll save it. So what that can do is if you're having problems with your city, you can just save it here in import selection and then transplant it to a different city, or something like that if you're having glitchy issues and stuff. Also, if you want these roads right here, say I don't like these roads, what I can do is if I take this, I can select these roads, and if I hold shift as I'm selecting all the roads and I select them all the way to here, I can come over here, I can do slope objects, and bam, it makes a perfect slope. Then if I want, I can also tell them to all go to the object height of, say, this, and you can do that to a building, a road, a segment, a node, anything. If I want, I can also do it to terrain height, so they'll all go to the terrain height. Move It is just the most useful mod ever. I can also do things with underground stuff. I can move things around, stuff like that. It's so powerful, guys. That's why it's the #1 mod in all of City Skylines, because Move It is basically what has allowed me to make pretty much not everything, but a lot of things I've done in City Skylines. Move It is what has allowed me to make them. So Move It is #1. Let's move on to the outro. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I certainly enjoyed making it, even though it took days, almost a week. Again, the links to all the mods are in the description below, as well as the timestamps for all of them if you need to go back and watch one again. For those of you stuck around this far, if you want to support the channel, there is a link to my Patreon in the description below. Membership starting at $5 a month. You don't have to do it but if you did, it would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this very scripted video. If you noticed that, good for you. If you did, be sure to smash the like button down below. Consider subscribing for more content like this. And without further ado, I will see all you do next time.